Five brilliant novellas you should read. Number 5. The Third Man, Graham Greene. Graham Greene wrote this novella as a preparation for the screenplay, not intending it for publication. It's set in post-war Vienna, a city that was divided into 4 zones, including a zone controlled by the Soviet Union. American writer, Holly Martins, visits Vienna because his friend, Harry Lime, has promised him a job there. People tell him that Harry has died and that 3 men have carried his body outside. Holly easily traces the first 2 men, but they deny there was a third. This is the start of a story with a surprising twist. The film, directed by Carol Reed and with Joseph Cotten and Orson Welles in the lead roles, is considered a masterpiece. Although Greene didn't initially intend to publish the novella, it's still worth reading today. Number 4. Candide, Voltaire. François-Marie Arouet, or Voltaire, was a philosopher of the French Enlightenment. In Candide, the title character is a young man who lives in a protected environment, the castle of a baron. Candide and the baron's daughter Cunegund are indoctrinated by Dr. Pangloss, a philosophical optimist who teaches them that we live in the best of all possible worlds. After kissing Cunegund, Candide is evicted from the castle. He and Dr. Pangloss travel to a lot of countries, including Prussia, the Netherlands, Portugal, Argentina, Paraguay, El Dorado, Suriname and Turkey. They are confronted with all the suffering in the world, but Dr. Pangloss keeps repeating that we live in the best of all possible worlds. This was actually a statement by German philosopher Gottfried Leibniz. Voltaire criticized Leibniz's optimism after negative events like the 7 Years' War, 1756–63, and the 1755 Lisbon earthquake. Number 3. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Truman Capote. Capote will mostly be remembered for his true crime novel In Cold Blood, and for this novella. Holly Golightly is a young, somewhat mysterious woman in New York. She likes to visit the jewelry store Tiffany & Company. She appears to be rich, but she's actually just trying to catch a wealthy husband. She meets a young man she calls Fred, the first-person narrator whose real name we're never told. Gradually Fred finds out more about Holly's past. Blake Edwards directed a movie adaptation that became more popular than the novella itself, with Audrey Hepburn singing Moon River as Holly Golightly. Number 2. Three Blind Mice, Agatha Christie. Three Blind Mice is one of many titles by Agatha Christie taken from a nursery rhyme. The story is a classic whodunit set in an isolated environment, a manor that can't be reached because of the heavy snowfall. Originally it was a BBC radio play in 1947, but she turned it into a novella. Sources often call it a short story, but it's over 20,000 words. She later expanded it into the play The Mousetrap, 1952, with a new title taken from Hamlet. Christie didn't want the novella to be published in the UK as long as the play was running in the West End. She probably didn't expect that it would still be running in 2011, so the novella still hasn't been published in the UK, but it has in other countries. Number 1. The Royal Game, Stefan Zweig. Chess novella would have been a literal translation of the original German title Schach Novelle, but the publishers probably thought it would sell better as The Royal Game. Zweig was an Austrian Jew who fled to London because of World War II. He committed suicide, in Brazil, in 1942. This novella, written between 1938 and 1941, was published posthumously. It's about a mysterious man on a cruise liner who, surprisingly, beats the world champion in a game of chess. It turns out that he learned to play the game on his own, while he was imprisoned by the Nazis. In spite of being a great chess player, it becomes clear that the man hasn't overcome his traumatic experience and is still suffering mentally. Gerd Oswald made a German film adaptation, in 1960,